The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Arts Barbershop. R&R Auto.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Turn 3 Racing Network. As tonight, we're here at the Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, as we are getting ready for our first qualifying group to roll out here in the R&R Auto 125. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. My name is KR Stolfus, and here in the booth with me is the oh-so-famous Mr. Poutine himself, Kelly Dahl.
Don't know about if I'd say famous. Maybe infamous.
Well, you're so famous, you're infamous.
Don't know if that's how that word works, but you know what? We'll roll with it, KR.
Well, I'm going to roll with it. Our first group of drivers starting to roll out to pit lane. As Kelly, our group qualifying session starting to stage up here. So things moving along here tonight at this Five Flags Speedway.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic race here around this half mile. A little bit bigger than last week, so hopefully that'll kind of clean up the incidents that we had in the last week. And however, speaking of clean, I think this track needs to be clean. There's already marbles all over the place, and that might kind of throw a wrench into some qualifying lines.
All right, so as our first group of drivers for qualifying start to roll out, take a look and see the 9 of Brian Jones out of Clifton Park, New York. Gonna be the first one here in this first group to take a time, but we got several other drivers out here as well.
Yeah, we got Jones, I believe we got Wayne McDuff, Jeremy Watkins. Here comes Jones now off of turn 4. Let's see what's going to be the first time of the night. He puts down 16.7, so fairly decent time. We were seeing all the people dropping all the way down to the 16.2s in the practice. And speaking of, 16.3 from Trey Hudson.
As the qualifying times start to come in, Edson at the top of the board with a 16.37. The 4 cars here in this qualifying session. All 4 of them getting it done here. We move on into group number 2 for tonight's race. Trey Hudson right now on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I just kind of want to talk about Edson's consistency. His practice time was a 16.376. His qualifying time 16.379. There's not much closer you can get.
Matt Heft in the 21 machine out on the speedway. Heft going to put himself finding it in 5th spot. Devin Johnson, Colin Phillip also out here. Colin Phillip in the 53 machine. He's going to move up into 2nd spot. Devin Johnson in the 83 slots into 3rd.
Still about 2/10 off from Trey Edson's time. They'll see what they can do on the 2nd lap, and crossing the line for Phillips. He is not going to improve his time.
Johnson was coming off at turn number 4, smacked the wall, so his time invalidated on that 2nd lap as well. Colin Phillip, Devin Johnson, and Matt Heft getting their qualifying sessions in. Now we have a fan favorite rolling out. That is none other than the 03 of Speedy Brissett.
And Brissett still yet to make a feature. Going to try to change his fortunes tonight and see if he can qualify his way in and not have to deal with the heat race.
So here we go. Green flag out for him. His qualifying session has begun here at Five Flags, and Paul Lycourt out there as well in that 33 machine.
There's also Drew Krybick in the 112 as well, and let's see where Brissett's going to land. He's going to put down a pretty decent time. He's going to tie himself for 2nd with a 16.503, pretty much the exact same time Colin Phillip did. And here comes Drew Krybick getting close to Edson, but not quite able to make it. 16.390.
Speedy, second lap, not as good as 16.53. So he finds himself in 6th spot. Krybeck goes all the way to the top of the leaderboard with a very fast time at a 16.31.
And with this new tire model, that's something that we haven't seen in previous years. Usually a lot of these guys would just go out, do a single lap, wouldn't even bother with the second lap because the first lap was going to be your fastest. But now that you got to get some heat in those tires, that second lap has become a bit more valuable.
Brian Rogers in the 12, making his way out onto the speedway. Green flag flying for his qualifying session. Rogers is looking to have a good showing here in that Yahoo black and yellow, or is that like a dark brown? It's Yahoo, so it could be a dark brown. I don't know.
Love it.
Either way, he's in 3rd.
That looks like orange to me, KR. It's pretty bright orange to me.
Listen, some of us are colorblind, okay? I'm not sure if I am, but it is what it is.
Well, speaking of AJ Rogers, he puts down a fairly decent time, a 16.4. That, oh, and now he's going to get loose off of turn 4, so he's not going to be able to improve his time on the second lap. But guys, he was along with the 15, or sorry, I'm looking at the wrong group, the 12 and the 99, like Brian Rogers and Justin Rigsby, also just barely ahead of him. So some fairly competitive times from that group.
Next group rolling out. This is going to include Justin McDuff in the 20 machine. Chris Stump out here as well in the 98. He takes the green flag for his qualifying effort. And Andy Lambert in the 8 machine rolling out here as well.
Yeah, I'm expecting a fast time out of Chris Stump here. He has been very competitive throughout the season. He ran a 16.3 in practice, but so far in qualifying, that's going to be a 16.453. Looks like a cloud might be moving in, so this may help on this second lap.
Justin McDuff moving up into 5th spot, but Chris Stump off of turn number 4, and he's going to roll across the start-finish line. Stump with a 16.45 stays in 8th. Justin McDuff across the line, and McDuff staying right where he is at as well. 5th spot, Andy Lambert rounding out your top 10 for the moment.
Yeah, we got a couple drivers already starting to get bumped here. Our cut line is Matt Heft with a 16.756. So Brian Jones, Jeremy Watkins already being cut from qualifying. They will have to race their way in through the LCQ.
Justin Fuller in the 51 machine. Gonna roll onto the throttle as he takes a green flag for his first time lap. This qualifying group also going to include Matt Mclean and the 42 of Brett Bartels out there from Spirit Lake, Iowa. 42 across the start finish line. And
new quick time.
Justin Fuller goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 16.28. Jeremy Carpenter smacking the wall hard in his qualifying session, clearing the car out of the way. And Fuller not going faster on his second time around.
Yeah, a couple drivers cut there. Heft, Carpenter, McDuff, and Johnson all getting bumped from qualifying. They will have to race their way in. Now Speedy Brissett is going to be our kind of our cut line here with a 16.503.
Next group out, Jimmy McIntyre, Gareth Gonder, and Stefan Marinac making it out onto the speedway. Gonder, the rookie here in this 81 machine.
Yeah, this is an extremely fast group, so I'm expecting to see some times near the top of the board here. We'll have to see Steph Marinac, points leader, coming off of 4, looking a little loose off of 4. See if that's going to affect him. Still a 16.328, so still a very good time, even with that back end trying to walk away from him.
Yeah, he is all sorts of sideways off of turn number 2 as well. But able to keep that car underneath him. And again, a big time tail happy car, that 24 machine. Good enough for 3rd spot for the moment. Jimmy McIntyre in the 81. He's going to find himself in 7th spot. Gareth Gonder makes it all the way up into 4th.
So with that, Brissett, Phillip, and Lycourt all bumped from qualifying and will be going into the LCQ. And these groups are just getting faster and faster.
Next group to roll out, Well, that's the 11 of Brian Hacker. Right behind him, a couple other big names, but Hacker on the throttle, high side here through 3 and 4, and gonna pull it down to try and get maximum time on the throttle down the front stretch.
Yeah, these qualifying laps are extremely difficult. The tires don't get fully up to temperature in just 2 laps, so these cars are just skating around on them. We've seen it with a few other guys that they're just having to wheel them, and you can see the 11 kind of just a little wiggle off of turn 4. That's going to cost him a little bit. It's only going to be a 16.4 for him. AJ Hamill, or sorry, that's a couple other drivers just in front of them. Al Smith actually getting a good one with another 16.414.
18 of AJ Hamill goes across the start finish line, and AJ Hamill good enough for 13th spot. Al Smith finding himself in 14th, but Brian Hacker making it up into the top 5.
Yeah, sometimes that I thought earlier were going to be enough to get him into the race have already been bumped, as now we see Andrew Plank on that cut line with a 16.424. So to guarantee your spot into the race, you have to be extremely fast.
Next group out, that is the 13 of Guillaume Fortin, and also included the 39 of Bill Martin, the 6 of Joe Schaefer, and the 75 of Mike Alexander.
And this is our last group, I believe. So this is the last shot for these guys to get into the main event. And some of these guys that are on the cushion are definitely going to be very close here. And watching this with nervously, and there's a nice 16.317 for Guillaume.
Guillaume laying down a good lap time. Joe Schaefer across the line for his first time lap, and he's going to put it on pole at a 16.24.
Extremely quick time from that 6 car there. See these guys come across the line once again, and few of these guys surprisingly low. Bill Martin actually with a 16.427. This is going to be the first time this season we'll see him in the LCQ.
With qualifying being wrapped up, now it is time for these drivers to focus in on their LCQ setup. Even though it is a fixed setup, you still got a little bit of a moment to go through your head and make pretend changes.
I mean, they can make adjustments to their ratio and offset if need be, because they could maybe find on this opening or through that LCQ that maybe the settings they were running with just weren't quite working for them, and maybe they're just not quite getting the speed. Need to change the ratio up a little bit, because that can make you a bit smoother if you just open up that ratio.
All right, so with that being said, we're going to step away for a moment. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back right after our national anthem. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Turn 3 Racing Network as we get ready to fire off our last chance qualifier here for the R&R Auto 125. That means it is time to go through tonight's starting lineup for this one. On the inside of row number 1, that is the 96 of Al Smith. On his outside, the 17 of AJ Rogers. Row number 2 going to be made up of the 64 of Andrew Plank. And the outside of row number 2, that's the 39 of Bill Martin. Row number 3 will be the 88 of Matt Mclean and the 98 of Chris Stump. And row number 4 on the inside, that's going to be the 45 of Justin Smith and Andy Lamer in the 8 machine on the outside of row number 4. Row number 5, Paul Lycourt in the 33 and Colin Phillip in the 53 machine.
Row number 6 sees the 03 of Jay Speedy Brissett, the 83 of Devin Johnson. Row 7 has Wayne McDuff III and Jeremy Carpenter. Row 8, the 21 of Matt Heft and the 9 of Brian Jones on the outside. And rounding out the 17 car LCQ will be the 77 of Jeremy Watkins.
All right. 2 pace laps here in the LCQ. We get ready to rock and roll here tonight. Qualifying already done and in the bag. These were the drivers who did not lock in to the top 16. 8 drivers going to transfer. 8 drivers transferring out of this LCQ, Kelly.
And then from those that don't transfer, the top 2 in the point standings will be transferred into the race. So 10 total be taken, only the top 8 guaranteed.
But here we go. Al Smith in control of the field as the Ford Mustang got out of the way. Green flag is out. They head off into turn number 1, the 96 to the inside. He's going to make the move and up in front of the 17 of AJ Rogers.
Speaking of making moves, here comes Bill Martin diving down, got underneath the 17, and moves himself up into second. So from 4th to 2nd in a single lap. So great driving from that 39, and he's just trying to use this as some practice.
Yeah, Bill Martin in that 39 machine. Last week, he finished in 2nd place in the Dr. Noise Paints and Custom Diecast. We ride on board with Bill setting the fastest time of this LCQ, but it's all going to be slowed down here as the yellow flag comes out.
Yeah, caution out for the 33 of Paul Lycourt coming off of turn number 4, just kind of got on the throttle a little too much, spun those rear tires and headed towards that inside wall. So a little bit of damage for that 33 to that left front. Hopefully he's still good enough to go. He's actually going to be coming down pit road, so I guess that damage is pretty heavy and he's definitely feeling it already.
So Al Smith, your race leader. Bill Martin sitting in 2nd, the 17 of AJ Rogers. Rounding out your top 3, Andrew Plank and Matt Mclean going to finish out 4th and 5th spot here in the running order. So Kelly, you got to turn some laps here tonight before you jumped up into the broadcast booth. What's it like out on this speedway?
The big thing is those first couple laps, when the tires are cold, the car is very loose and you have to be very careful coming off the corner. We just saw it with Paul Lycourt. You get on the throttle just a little too hard off that corner, those back tires are going to break loose and that car is just going to go around on you. It's something we also kind of saw a bit in qualifying with the cars getting a little squirrely, but as the laps start to kind of tick away and you get some heat in those tires, the car becomes a bit more stable. So the really big thing is just, as you can see, these guys weaving all over the place already, is just trying to keep heat in those tires so you can have some grip out there.
So with the lights on the Ford Mustang, I expect they're going to go out next time around. Got just a few laps in before our first caution here in the LCQ.
Multiple different strategies of heating tires. I can see Matt Mclean out there trying to jam on the throttle and jam on the brakes. And that's usually kind of the better idea for getting heat in the tires than weaving. It seems to be a lot more effective, at least in iRacing, but lights are out on the pace car now, and the field is forming up 2x2 once again.
So the 96 of Al Smith, the 39 of Bill Martin on the front row for this restart. Then it's the 17 of AJ Rogers and the 64 of Andrew Plank for row number 2 as the pace car gets out of the way. Al Smith in control of the field once again. He is going to pick up the throttle, and the green flag flies as our first caution comes to an end. We have 17 laps to go in this LCQ.
A little bit of contact in the back of the field, and there's going to be another caution as those cars just kind of weren't able to keep control, and I think that was the 83 that ended up going around.
Take one more look at the 83 as he does go around. Looked like the one on his outside of Wayne McDuff. Not 100% sure on that one. What all led to that? We weren't able to catch all of it. Kelly, you able to see exactly what happened there?
I'm taking a look at it, and it seems like the 83 just came into turn 1 a little too hot, and with that car to his outside and a car in front of him had nowhere to go and just kind of plowed into him. So that's going to be a spin for Devin Johnson. May also be a EOL for him as well, so we'll have to see what the call is going to be for that car. It doesn't look to be too much damage on a lot of these race cars. A little bit of damage. Actually, taking a closer look, the one of Wayne McDuff actually has some pretty heavy damage to that left front and a little bit to the left rear as well.
We get on board with the one of McDuff. You can see the crumpled up left front end. Not the prettiest of things, but smack that down with a hammer, she'd be all right.
Yeah, the other driver involved in that, Jeremy Carpenter, looking at his car, he seems to be pretty clean for the most part. He kind of just got tagged on the rear end, and I don't even see much of a scuff on that rear end. So I think the 7 of Carpenter should be still good for the rest of this LCQ.
The Jeremy Carpenter finding himself in 11th spot, just trying to improve his position a little bit here to help get him into tonight's main event. He's real close. He's just on the outside looking in.
Yeah, top 8 transfer in guaranteed, and then of the remainders, the top 2 in points get transferred. So some of these guys are going to be having to push for the top 8 point positions because they may not be able to get in on points. I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to be that are outside looking in are hoping for Bill Martin to make it in because he's going to be pretty much guaranteed sitting 4th overall in points.
Yeah, that 39 having a good season so far, but finding himself trying to work through the LCQ here as the lights go out on the Ford Mustang. Kelly, these drivers gonna get another shot and another restart here.
Yeah, Bill Martin now on the outside of the first row. We're gonna have to see what he's gonna be able to do. Is he's been weaving his way through the field to his first few restarts, but Al is gonna have control of this start. Pace car now down and away. We'll see what Smith can do. He's gonna get on the throttle early. He's gonna get on the throttle hard. AJ Rogers gonna get a good start as well, and he's gonna keep side by side with Martin at turn number 1.
So Al Smith in the 96 getting clear quickly. Bill Martin now having to deal with the 17 on his inside. That is going to slow him down a little bit now. Off of turn number 2, he clears the 17 of Rogers. Sorry, that was turn 4. I can count, I promise.
Yeah, Martin showing some good speed now, getting closer and closer to Smith, trying to get to the bumper of that 96 machine and be able to, gets loose off of 4, but able to hang on to it as he still keeps pace with that 96 machine.
Meanwhile, the battle for third, Matt Mclean taking a peek to the inside of AJ Rogers. That could leave the door open for Andrew Plank in the 64 as well, as Mclean gets that preferred line, but the yellow flag going to come out. We got another stack up here. Not sure what happened on this one.
Looks to be the 7 of Carpenter getting tagged once again and sent around. So he's now been involved in 2 cautions, but neither one has really been his fault, it seems, as he got tagged that time by, looks like the 03 of Speedy Brissett, just going into turn 3, a little bit of a bump. Maybe tried to just nudge him out of the way, but ended up spinning him around, and that also collected the 21 and the 33.
So several cars getting caught up in this one. Carpenter in the 7 making his way down onto pit lane. So too is the 33 machine of Paul Lycourt. The Lycourt and Carpenter having to work on their race cars. Hopefully they can get back out there, but not a good thing to have happen here in a very short LCQ.
Yeah, only 20 laps total. We are on lap 8 though, because cautions do not count here. And if they keep this pace, it may be like last week where we start looking at the 15-minute timer.
Al Smith, your race leader, has led every lap so far of this LCQ. Bill Martin in the 39 on his outside when they stack up 2 by 2. It'll be the 17 of AJ Rogers, and Rogers getting saved by that caution as Matt Mclean had really put some pressure on him and was down to the inside there trying to work him over.
Yeah, it looks like he had the track position in the preferred lane, but just kind of caught some bad timing with that caution flag flying when it did. However, he is still within a transfer spot. That is always something you can take, that you maybe miss a spot in front of you, but in the end, as long as you transfer is really all that matters.
As the lights stay on the Ford Mustang, Brian Jones in the 9 machine. Only car out of this LCQ as he has gone behind the wall. It looks like he is done for the night. Oh, unfortunately for Brian, he got caught up in that very first incident.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back next week and be able to put down a good qualifying lap and maybe avoid this whole LCQ business and get himself into the main event right off the bat.
But as the lights go out on the Ford Mustang, we're going to stack them up side by side once again. Al Smith, Bill Martin on row number 1, AJ Rogers, Matt Mclean, Andrew Plank, and Chris Stump on the outside of row number 3. Top 8 drivers going to make it in. 2 more added by their points accumulated throughout this season. Top 2 highest points accumulators who do not make it as the green flag comes out. We're rocking and rolling again here at 5 Flags.
Great start from Martin that time, a lot better than the last time. Another guy with a good start, that was Chris Stump. He's already trying to make some moves. He gets to the inside of the 88 of Matt Mclean. And Stump, as soon as he crossed that start-finish line, he had a lane below him clear and moved down there, and that's going to slide him up into 4th place. Now we got a battle for the lead as Martin gets to the inside of Smith.
So Bill Martin in the 39 dives down to the bottom into turn number 3, hooks that left side tire right on the white line. And man, he made that thing stick. Al Smith taking a peek to the inside, trying to fight back. Bill Martin gonna get a good run off of turn number 2 and try and set sail here as we got 10 laps to go in the LCQ.
And I thought Smith was gonna have it. He had a good crossover going through turn 4, had a great run down the front straightaway, but just couldn't quite make it stick on that bottom lane, and now gonna give up position to Martin as he starts to run away. Looking back towards our cutoff line, that's still Justin Smith holding on to it, but Colin Phillip not too far behind him.
So Smith in our final transfers position in the 45 machine, but Colin Phillip, that 53 right there on his back bumper, he's not giving him a whole lot of room to relax. Phillip looking like he is trying to dig hard on the bottom.
Phillip hoping to close up that gap to the 45, getting a good entry into turn 1 that time and kind of closed up just a little bit, but that 45 just kind of running a bit smoother and a bit more consistent. That's allowing him to kind of maintain that gap, though it does seem like that gap is shrinking slightly.
We'll go on board with the 53 of Colin Phillip as we're getting 6 laps to go here. This race winding down very quickly, and Bill Martin in the 39. Once he got around Al Smith, he's opened up a 1-second lead. Looks like he is trying to set sail with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, Martin is always a fast driver. As we mentioned, he is 4th in the point standings, but looks to have just made a little bit of a mistake during his qualifying, which dropped him back here. Now kind of recovering from that, getting himself to the lead of the LCQ, but doesn't matter how much of a lead he gets, no matter what, he'll only be starting in 17th.
So Martin off of turn number 2. 3 more times around here at Five Flags Speedway. Al Smith still holding on to 2nd spot. The 17 of AJ Rogers right now in 3rd. Chris Stump 4th. Matt Mclean 5th, and the yellow flag going to come out as we got another crash here on the Speedway.
Yeah, that is the 0-3 going around once again, just kind of getting caught up in a little bit of a mess. Looks like that really kind of started with coming off of 4, the 77 just kind of getting out of shape. A couple of these drivers just getting clustered into turn 1, and the 03 gets tagged and goes around.
Take one more look at this one. The 03 goes for a spin, gathers it back in and gets rolling. So a tough break for Speedy in that 03 machine. Back at the tail end of the field for him, working his way forward.
He was starting to work his way up there a little bit, but that is going to drop him all the way back once again with only a few more laps to go. So going to be a steep hill to climb for that 03 to try to catch up and pass the 45 of Justin Smith sitting in 8th place, who really probably does not want to be seeing all these cautions, because in 8th place he'll always be starting on that outside lane and has to try to get to the bottom as fast as possible. So far he's been able to do it every single time and hold on to 8th place, but I'm sure he would rather not do it.
So the Ford Mustang seems to be the one who's led the most laps here in this LCQ. Al Smith led for the first part of this one. Now Bill Martin taking over in the later stages. 20 lap long LCQ here. Caution flags do not count, so these drivers have all been been fighting tooth and nail to try and get into their spots, as the 98 of Chris Stump is pulled up along the wall. That is going to do it on time. I was not paying attention to the clock.
Yeah, they are going to time out here, so that is going to be unfortunate for a few of these drivers, but it is going to lock in our top 8. They are kind of looking at the points right now, and we'll decide who's going to be getting those points provisional. So the 8 that are moving on: Martin, Smith Jr., Rogers, Stump, Mclean, Lambert, Plank, and Justin Smith.
When we keep talking about the points, let's go ahead and pull them up and take a quick peek at our points as they come into tonight's race. Steph Marinac, your points leader, just a 2-point lead over AJ Hamill. Hamill just has a 1-point advantage over Mike Alexander. So a very tight battle at the front of this field in the top 3 for your point standings.
The top 3 only separated by 3 points, and a lot of that is just because of consistency and just making the most of those bonus points, because Hamill and Alexander, neither one of them have won a race, yet Steph has, but they're still sitting just behind him because they've got 10 and 11 bonus points respectively, while Marinac, after bonuses and penalties, really only got 1 bonus point.
So a very, very close battle in our point standings, and we are working race number 4 of tonight. We can take a quick peek at our R&R Auto 125 race information. Five Flags Speedway, well, Pensacola, Florida, beautiful weather here for it, 88 degrees. Track temp, well, it's at 77, so man, I got that backwards. 77 degrees outside, track temperature is 88 degrees. I knew I'd get it right sooner or later. So with that being said, guys, they are in they're in a warm-up session here, so everyone who has made the show going to get to turn some practice laps. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Kabang Energy Candy contains 100% of vitamins B6, B12, and C plus ginseng. And the best part is, no caffeine. Kabang Energy Candy is sold everywhere, including participating Walgreens. Kabang Energy Candy, it's bangalicious.
Bowling brings people together.
Right down the middle. You got it. Uh-oh. Good job.
See what you can do, man.
Oh. Wait.
That's a strike right there. Woo! Connect with family and friends. Go bowling.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by M&M Country Store, Dr. Noy's Custom Paint and Diecast, Coach's Corner, Kabang Energy Candy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers plug right along here in this warm-up session as we get ready for the R&R Auto 125. And I am in the booth with my great buddy, Kelly Dahl. And Kelly, I don't know about you, but this Florida weather is a little bit too warm for me.
Oh man, if you saw the weather up here, you would be glad to have some sun and some nice warm weather right now. Even though I really don't understand what 77 Fahrenheit means, I'm pretty sure it's warmer than what's going on up here right now.
All right, so let's go ahead and get right into our starting lineup for this one. On the inside of row number 1, it's going to be the 75 of Mike Alexander due to the invert. The 11 of Brian Hacker on the outside of row number 1. Row number 2, Gareth Gonder and Stefan Marinac. Row number 3, that's going to be Guillaume Fortin and Drew Krybeck. Row number 4 will be Justin Fuller in the 51 and Joe Schaefer in the 6. Row number 5, that'll be the 42 of Brett Bartels and the 25 of Trey Hudson.
Jimmy McIntyre will be on the inside of row number 6 with the 12 of Brian Rogers Jr. starting in 12th. Row number 7 sees the 99 of Justin Rigsby and the 87 of Matt Eddy. Row 8 is Justin McDuff on the inside and AJ Hamill to his outside. Bill Martin wins the LCQ. He'll be starting in 17th with Al Smith Jr. on his right side. AJ Rogers is going to be rolling off on the inside of row 10 with Chris Stump to his outside.
Matt Mclean in the 88 machine and Andy Lambert in the 8 on the next row. Then in row number 12, that is Andrew Plank in the 64 machine And on his outside, that is Justin Smith in the 45. Colin Phillip in the 53 did make it in. So too did, it looks like, Jeremy Watkins in the 7 machine. So Watkins able to get in, even though he had a very difficult time in the LCQ.
You got the wrong Jeremy. It's Jeremy Carpenter
Oh,
that
my
got
bad.
in off
That
points.
is Jeremy
It
Carpenter.
is a little confusing. There's 2 Jeremys. One's in the 7, one's in the 77. So it can be very easy to mix those two up. But it was Jeremy Carpenter getting in on points.
All right, so now that I have to beg for my job back once again, lights are out on the pace car. We are going to get ready to send this thing off. As the green flag comes out, it is time to go racing 125 laps here at Five Flags Speedway.
These guys are going to have to fight these cars for the first couple laps. Till the 11 get a little tight, it seems, going up high on the racetrack. He's going to be able to recover, though. Still holds on to second place. And someone that's moving back, though, that's the 24, Steph Marinak, struggling on that high lane. We see also the 51 getting sideways.
Marinak in the 24, he's going to slot in behind the 13 of Guillaume. Another car that was sliding back, that was Drew Krybeck in the Epic Media Machine, as he got stuck on the outside lane. He fell 2 spots from the drop of the green flag, but he's able to get single file now. As this field gets strung out here, everyone getting single file quickly.
Yeah, and as these guys turn a few more laps, these cars will start to heat up their tires, kind of get into their zone, into their grip, and be able to finally get around this racetrack, hopefully pointed in a straight line. But you're seeing some great battles up front. Alexander starting to pull away a little bit, but just behind them, there is a huge pack of cars, and we see the 13 all over the bumper of the 81 of Gareth Gonder.
So Guillaume trying to work over the 81 of Gonder. Gonder, a rookie here with the Upstate Racing League in its 10th season. Gonder right now feeling the pressure from a Upstate Racing League veteran.
And it seems like Guillaume is a little faster, at least through turns 3 and 4. He's getting up to the bumper of that 81, but just not quite finding a way past him. And we'll have to see what he's going to be able to come up with. This time, though, not quite fast enough to really make a move on Gonder.
Guillaume taking a peek to the inside, not enough to make it stick. The 81 closing the door. Mike Alexander, meanwhile, continuing to lead in the 75. Brian Hacker in that 11 machine sitting right there in second spot. As we are coming up on the completion of lap number 8 to start lap number 9. Everyone got single file here very, very quickly. We saw a lot of battling going on in the LCQ, but this one shows, I think a lot of these drivers were watching the LCQ and decided they wanted to get single file as fast as they could.
And Mike Alexander is probably going to be feeling a little bit of pressure, as the last 2 weeks in a row we had both winners kind of lead from flag to flag, and Alexander going to try to follow in those footsteps and jump up to the top of the point standings if he does keep going like this. But going to keep an eye on this 81, as he is under pressure from not only Guillaume but also Steph Marinak, and he's just trying to make that 81 machine as wide as possible.
Bill Martin in the 39 machine on the move as well. He's already gained 6 positions since the start of this thing, as we check in on the battle for third spot. Gonder holding on to it, and the 13 of Guillaume going to get into him. Guillaume able to get up off that back bumper, but Gonder now in the middle of a 3 wide. Guillaume all the way up to the top shelf. That is going to allow the 24 Marinak to move into third. Gonder with a great drive there holds on to fourth. Justin Fuller getting by the 13. So too is Joe Schaefer Jr., as now Guillaume smacks the outside wall.
Yeah, tagged the wall the last 2 laps in a row, and that is going to cost him, as it moves him back in the field, as well as maybe giving him a little bit of damage. You're going to have to take a look at the right side of that car. Yeah, he does have a little bit of damage to that right front, so hopefully it's not too much and he is still able to hang on, but it could cause that right front to burn off a little bit faster than everyone else, and that is crucial.
So Marinak moving into third. Now he's trying to chase down Brian Hacker and Mike Alexander. Alexander, who has led all of our completed laps so far here tonight. And again, one thing we didn't mention, no tires are available for these drivers. Everyone's got to make it on this tire. Of course, you can always come down pit road, pit for fuel, pit for damage repair. You just cannot change your tires here tonight at Five Flags.
Yeah, the only times in this league that you are allowed to change tires is when there is essentially a mandatory pit stop for fuel, and we've only seen that at Iowa so far this year. So the tires you start on tonight are the tires you have to finish on. And taking a quick look at Bill Martin, we saw him start in 17th after winning the LCQ. He's moved himself up into 9th already, and he's still trying to chase down the 42 of Brett Bartels.
Bill Martin.
Oh, 81 of Gonder way up the racetrack.
Yeah, Gonder's been struggling here. He's been on, he's gotten shuffled up to that top shelf a little bit as Fuller and Schaefer worked on by him. But Gonder, again, on that high side, doesn't look like he's got too much damage on that right front, but man, a tough break for the 81. The rookie here falling back after a strong first few laps.
Yeah, I just looked back at what happened. He was trying to battle with the 13 of Guillaume Fortin once again and kind of just door banged him a little bit and got shuffled up onto the top of the racetrack. So Guillaume still able to hang on. Probably has a little bit more damage to that right side, which he's probably not too thrilled about, but doesn't seem to be affecting him much as he's trying to put some pressure on Joe Schaefer Jr.
We go on board with Guillaume in this 13 machine. See Joe Schaefer in the 6 just ahead of him. Guillaume using the throttle to turn that car down to the left-hand side a little bit. You saw a little bit of a different entry for Guillaume, kind of about, I don't know, half a tire width higher than the 6 of Schaefer. Looks like he's just trying to figure out where he can get a little bit more grip and come away with a pass here.
Oh, and that 51's going to tag the wall, and that's going to open the door for the 6 of Joe Schaefer Jr. He's going to get down to the inside of Justin Fuller, and they are going to be door to door heading down the back straightaway now into turns 3 and 4. Schaefer still trying to hold on to that outside, but slides up a little too high, gets in the marbles, and starts to lose ground, not only to the 6, but now also the 13 of Fortin.
So Fuller in the outside here. And that is not necessarily the place you want to be at Five Flags. Five Flags is all about this bottom lane. As Fuller in the 51 going to take advantage of a poor exit for the 13 of Guillaume off of turn number 4. So Fuller drops back in line. But as I was saying, it is a very difficult place to see two wide racing. Is the yellow flag going to come out? It looks like our first caution of the night. Andrew Plank in the 64 machine. Gonna get a little bit of extra help from the 45, and around goes Plank. Justin Smith just getting into him a little bit. Take another look at this one. We go on board with Smith.
Yeah, just a small little tap from Smith, and that was all it took for Andrew Plank to lose that back end and go around. Kind of a fairly simple spin for the most part, so it doesn't look to be any sort of damage on that race car, and I think he'll be able to recover from this.
Our first caution of the night coming out. Mike Alexander, your race leader, he has been out in front since the drop of the green flag. Ryan Hacker's been solidly in a second spot. Before this yellow came out, Marinac had caught up to Hacker. Stefan Marinac in that 24 machine, making his way forward. He might be someone to keep an eye on here. But again, you got to take care of your tires.
Yeah, tire conservation is always going to be the name of the game here, and really kind of is in pretty much any sort of oval racing where you can't come down pit road and change your tires. And with these short tracks, it is just crucial to keep that right front kind of clean and happy, and make sure you don't burn it off completely, or else you are just going to be moving back to this field. So it's good to be keeping an eye on these guys, seeing what kind of lines they run and who's going to be aggressive trying to go lurch to the front early, or who's going to kind of stay back and try to make those tires last.
Well, I'll tell you what, starting 26 cars here at Five Flags Speedway, I believe we had a total of 33 drivers in this session. For 10 seasons, this Upstate Racing League still putting up very healthy car numbers.
Yeah, we had, I believe, 33 drivers show up here tonight to try to make this 26 car field. So really a ton of competition to make the show, as now the lights are going to go out on the pace car and we're going to get ready to go back green.
Mike Alexander, Brian Hacker on the front row for this restart as the Ford Mustang tucks down and away. Alexander gets on the throttle and we are back underway here at Five Flags Speedway. The R&R Auto 125 continuing right along, and Marinac in the 24 machine already thinking about trying to make a move to the inside, but Fuller wasting no time moving to the inside of the 6 of Joe Schaefer.
Yeah, Marinac didn't have the best start, but really recovered through turns 1 and 2, and now is just filling the rear view mirror of that 11 machine. And yeah, Joe Schaefer not really able to get his way down to the bottom lane and starting to move back. Already lost ground to Fuller, and now is starting to lose a position to Guillaume Fortin, who's just trying to make that inside line work with his damaged race car.
So Schaefer just looking for a slot to get into, and he is going to make it work. Slides down in front of the 13. Gonder in the 81 machine, he's working to the inside of Bill Martin. Bill Martin having to go side by side, door to door with the 25 of Edson, and Bill Martin continuing his march forward as well.
And now Gonder getting a couple taps from Trey Edson just behind him, trying to bit of a nudge saying, hey, you've got someone on your outside and I need somewhere to go, get moving. And now Gonder gonna try to fight off 39 of Bill Martin, who is gonna finally slot down into the single file lane. Looking back up to the front, things are starting to shuffle around as Steph Marinac was able to get around Brian Hacker, and that caused Hacker to drop back a few positions. Now going to be all the way down into 5th.
Alexander still leading as the marbles really starting to build up here on this Five Flags surface. Very tight battle at the front of the field. Mike Alexander, Steph Marinac, and Justin Fuller. 1, 2, and 3 nose to tail. You could even throw in the 6 of Joe Schaefer Jr.
Yeah, this battle for the lead is almost kind of a battle for the points lead, as well, as these guys are only separated by 3 points overall, and whichever one kind of comes away with the victory tonight will come away with the points lead, as the 24 now getting all the way to the bumper of the 75, giving him a little bit of a nudge, and now he's really putting the pressure on.
The Marinac knows who is behind him. A past champion in that 51, Justin Fuller, would love to pick up another win and another championship. Marinac in the 24. Well, he's been on a hot streak of sorts here lately. He's looking to continue that trend.
And Fuller is surprisingly at the moment outside of the chase cutoff, though not by much. He's only out of the chase by, actually no, he is tied in points with Matthew Barkhouse. So really this is just trying to get himself into the chase and into kind of a good point standing, so that he doesn't have to keep worrying about it for as the weeks tick away. But these top 4 pretty much nose to tail entirely.
You mentioned a tie with Matthew Barkhouse. That tie is going to be broken here tonight, as Barkhouse was unable to make it out to Five Flags Speedway. We hope to catch him not next week, but in 2 weeks. We will be off for the Thanksgiving break as the yellow flag comes out just as Steph Marinac got a good run to the inside off of turn number 2. Let's take a look at this one. Looks like AJ Hamill going to get into the wall. The 18 going to go up and over big time contact for the 18 of AJ Hamill. Take one more look at that. Hamill gonna get a wheel into his right rear quarter panel, gets into a touchy part of the wall, and it is just going to send him flying. That Blue Arts Barbershop machine, all sorts of wadded up right now.
Yeah, he tried to take a couple laps around to catch up to the field, see how the car felt, but almost immediately decided that this thing has been junked, and he has pulled off the racetrack, taken a tow actually all the way back to pit road. So I think the night is going to be over for the 18 machine.
All right, guys, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is Iracing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Best Colorful Creations, the official cake supplier of the Upstate Racing League, Carpenter's Tax Service, SUNY's Country Market.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers continue to circle around behind the pace car. Lights getting ready to go out on it. The 75 of Mike Alexander electing that inside line. 24 Steph Marinac on the outside of row number 1 for this restart. Justin Fuller and then Joe Schaefer gonna round out row number 2. And then it's Brian Hacker and Guillaume Fortin in the 13 machine on the outside of row number 3. Kelly, these drivers really putting on a good show here. We are getting ready to see a whole lot more racing action.
Yeah, pace car dives out of the way, and the 75 jumps off to a great start. Speaking of good starts, the 51 almost completely clearing the 24 of Steph Marinac before turn 1, and that is going to be huge. Fuller gets ahead of Steph Marinac. Schaefer trying to work that outside line to his advantage as well.
Schaefer in the 6, hanging tough on the outsides. Marinac in the 24, going to prevail though in that battle as he gets a good run up off of turn number 2. Schaefer slides in behind him. Hacker rounding out your top 5. Then Brett Bartels, Guillaume Fortin, and Bill Martin in 8th spot in that 39 machine. Guillaume stuck on the outside lane here as Bill's going to try and get to his inside and make the pass.
And Bill Martin started 17th, already up to 8th, now going to look for 7th as he's going to beat Guillaume to the line just by a nose there, but hasn't quite finished the pass. Now he is going to finish, and there's a bit of contact in the back of the field. Looks like everyone is going to gather it up. Still all clustered up, though, as it looked like the 81 got tagged going through turns 1 and 2.
So the problems continue for Gareth Gonner as could not tell if it was the 81 that was sideways or the 98 or maybe a combination of both of them. But both drivers able to get it sorted out and get rolling as we stay green. The Gonner falling back to 14th spot here.
Battle for the race lead, though.
He was up into 2nd.
Justin Fuller got to the inside of Mike Alexander, now going to try to take away the lead. Alexander trying to fight back on that outside lane. Not going to work, though, as Fuller is now going to clear going into turn 1. And now the freight train is going to start to roll by Mike Alexander, as now this 24 of Steph Marinac starting to work alongside that 75 machine. And there's no gap behind him either, as now Marinac gets ahead. And now that he's immediately replaced with the 6 of Joe Schaefer Jr. And Doesn't seem to be any daylight on that bottom lane for that 75 machine. Maybe there's going to be a gap behind the 11 if he can find it, but Bill Martin trying to close that gap before he can get there.
So Hacker in the 11 machine able to get by. Brett Bartels in the 42 on the outside lane of Bill Martin as the 75 does slot in. Mike Alexander finding himself in a 5th spot now. A lucky break for him that the 39 and the 42 were battling it out. That allowed him a little bit of room to tuck down and in. But now Brett Bartels in the 42 machine. He's fallen back a few spots. The 13 of Guillaume to his inside, and the 20 of Justin McDuff, a driver we haven't talked about a whole lot here tonight. Right now finding himself on the inside trying to fill the hole that the 13 has made.
And McDuff has just been having himself a nice quiet race. Started in 15th, is up to 10th, now trying to get himself into 9th. And he's had himself, it's been fairly uneventful for him. He's been keeping out of trouble, but that's a good thing. He's got a clean car and a nice, decent track position as he's going to finally clear that 42 machine. Looking back up towards the front, Bill Martin all over the rear bumper of the 75 of Mike Alexander. And Alexander, after leading the opening pretty much half of this race, now finds himself down just on the tail end of the top 5.
Do want to point out that Drew Krybeck went into pit lane and looks like maybe he has pulled it behind the wall. Not sure what happened to the 12 machine, but an early exit out of this one quite possibly for Drew Krybeck. Tough break for his Epic Media team.
Our battle in the front of this pack has kind of changed shape a little bit. It's now Justin Fuller, Steph Marinak, and Joe Schaefer Jr. in a little bit of a 3-car breakaway from the rest of the pack. And you could pretty much throw the 3 of them under a blanket as they are just nose to tail, bumper to bumper. And that 24 looking to try to find a way around the 51.
The top 3, as you mentioned, have pulled away here. Joe Schaefer enjoying a 1-second lead, or I shouldn't say a lead, but a 1-second gap over the 11 of Brian Hacker. These top 3 do continue to run nose to tail. We are past the halfway mark, or getting to the halfway. We're past the halfway mark. I can't do math, Kelly.
We are past the halfway mark. It is all downhill from here. We'll see what is going to shape up in this second half of the race as we still see Steph Marinak putting some insane pressure on Fuller. And at the same time, he has to deal with pressure behind him as the 6 of Schaefer all over his rear bumper as well.
So Justin Fuller, your race leader. Marinak trying to find a way around him. And Schaefer trying to figure out if he can pass both cars in one smooth move if something goes wrong between the 24 and the 51. Bill Martin now is trying to knock on the door of a top 5 run. Your LCQ winner finding himself in 6th spot. Trey Hudson in the 25 machine right behind him in 7th. Then Guillaume Fortin running in 8th. Justin McDuff 9th, and Brett Bartels to round out the top 10 with Matt Mclean in the 88 machine. Mclean has been moving forward here as well. He's gained 10 positions since the start of this race.
Bit of problems for Marinak off of turn 2 that last lap. He kind of got a little sideways, lost some ground to Fuller, but has recovered and caught up pretty well, and kind of gave Schaefer an opportunity to take a look, but wasn't able to really mount any sort of attack on that 24 machine. And now once again, all 3 of those drivers just nose to tail, any one of them trying to not let the other guys have any sort of breathing room.
Schaefer in the 6, still maintaining that 1-second gap over the 11 of Brian Hacker. So even though these 3 drivers running nose to tail, all of them really just kind of poking and prodding each other here They're still laying down some very quick lap times, very consistent lap times, as Fuller that time around turning a 17.10. Last time was a 17.08.
Yeah, all three of his last few laps have been very close on time. Actually, two of them being the exact same time on lap 72 and 74, a 17.097. So very consistent from these front three, and that's kind of the reason why they've got this big gap. There's 1.1 seconds between Joe Schaefer Jr. and Brian Hacker in third and fourth place respectively, and Hacker's got himself a little bit of a gap, as well as just behind them, Bill Martin having a little bit of trouble going into turn one as he battles with the 25, Trey Hudson.
Martin in the 39 for the moment, holding off the challenge from the driver in that 25 machine. Guillaume in the 13, looking like he would like to try and work around the 25 as well. As these drivers are all getting stacked up single file here, you got some fast drivers behind some drivers who maybe are still trying to be at a certain pace, you know, to maintain their tires, but not a whole lot of room to make a pass.
Yeah, there really isn't. You have to really set up your passes here, try to just get a better launch off the corner than the other driver. And if these guys are all kind of running similar lines, it becomes very difficult. And then you just have to try to either wait for a mistake or maybe force a mistake from your opponent.
Andrew Plank in the 64 machine right now, running in 24th spot. Just ahead of him, that's 23rd in the 53 machine, Colin Phillip, and then Matt Eddy right there as well. So three rookies here in 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. They're having a good little battle amongst themselves. This 87 machine looks like it's tagged the wall a few times on the right hand side. Colin Phillip and Andrew Plank, wouldn't mind if he did that a few more times and try and squeeze on by him.
And one thing that's kind of surprising is the gap that's still between our leader and the back marker of Andrew Plank. Justin Fuller is still separated from Plank by almost half the racetrack, and that's kind of surprising considering the pace they've got and the gap they've got behind them.
As Fuller continues to lead Marinak in the 24 machine. Now he's not so much on his back bumper, and you see a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the two. Kelly, how much dirty air do you think these cars are experiencing on this short track?
I can't imagine dirty air playing too much of a part here, but Marinak's throughout the whole night seems to have been struggling for grip, as his car has been wiggling ever since we saw him on track at first for the qualifying session. And a couple laps ago, I watched him kind of get loose once again and lose ground to Fuller. So that 24 is just mainly focusing on keeping that car pointed in the right direction.
Another driver hitting pit lane. That is the 81 of Gareth Gonder. He has pulled it behind the wall. We'll see if he is going to make it back out there. It could be an early exit for the 81 machine here as well. We're working lap 87. Marinak trying to get to the inside of Fuller in that 51. Looked like maybe Fuller left the door open just enough for Marinak to start thinking about it.
Yeah, it looked for a little while that these guys were just moving up the racetrack a little bit, and then it may have just been kind of a ploy from the 24 of Marinak, just trying to get Fuller to follow them on the higher line, maybe get him thinking, oh, these guys are trying to maybe found something on that high line and just open up that gap for him to sneak in. But Fuller kind of saw it last second, slammed the door shut, and now Steph Marinak has to try to find another way around, and it looks like he's getting close to just starting to lay the bumper to that 51.
A little bit further in the pack, we're going to go on board with the 88 of Matt Mclean, as Mclean battles with the 42 of Bartels in front of him. Mclean has tried to stick his nose to the inside of the 42 a couple of times, just has not been able to seal the deal. And the 88 now has Chris Stump on his back bumper, and Chris Stump very fast here in these late model cars, but right now Stump trying to work his way forward.
some seems to be having just a little bit of an off season so far. I mean, last couple seasons he has been one of our faster drivers, but lately this season he's found himself down in the point standings, actually sitting in 20th in the point standings, and that's really surprising considering last year he was 7th overall, and the 2 years before he was the runner-up in the championship. So a bit of an off start to the season, a bit of a slow start for that 98 machine. Hopefully he can kind of get things turned around and start getting some good points finishes.
I would say that the 98 has a bit of a funding issue, as his sponsor's listed as your mom, so he's probably looking for some help for some money.
Well, our leaders were battling just a minute ago. People, they were all over the racetrack, each one, and still none of these positions ended up changing hands, as Schaefer ended up slotting in back behind Marinak after he gave up on his attack. So these guys are starting to try to attempt some moves, but nothing really working so far as Fuller continues to lead.
Working lap 96 of 125. That lap counter really starting to get small here in the remaining lap category. Schaefer in the 6, still sitting in 3rd, still trying to poke and prod and find a way around the 24. But Ryan Hacker sitting in 4th with Mike Alexander right behind him. So a lot of these drivers, as we got Edson getting very sideways coming off of turn number 4. As I was getting ready to say, a lot of these drivers maybe starting to have some big time tire wear. Now it's really going to start showing who was able to take care of their equipment. I look down the running order here. Do want to check in on another rookie. That's the driver in the 99 machine. That is Justin Rigsby. Rigsby, who started in 13th, finding himself 14th right now. Just ahead of him, or just behind him, the 96 of Al Smith Jr. Al right now in a 15th spot, transferring from the LCQ. And then Brian Rogers in the 12, right behind Al Smith. So these three drivers got a good little battle going here. That 12 Yahoo machine, trying to figure out if he really wants to put the bumper in the 96 Al Smith if he can get the chance.
We finally had a position change towards the front of the field. Marinak and Schaefer swapped spots going into turn 1 last time around. It seemed like Marinak was just really struggling with his race car, kind of ended up taking the high line into 1, letting the 6 by, and just kind of giving himself a moment to really cool off, calm down, and allow Schaefer to maybe try to make a move on Fuller.
So Fuller, because of that move by Schaefer trying to get around Marinak, he's got some breathing room. And with 21 laps to go, Joe Schaefer trying to close in on him. But catching is one thing, passing is another. And what I'm seeing out of the 6 is not a whole lot more speed than the 51. So Schaefer maybe be able to get to that back bumper, but maybe not able to put the power down off of one of these corners to get to the inside of Fuller.
Yeah, but they are starting to catch up to lap traffic here. This may kind of throw a wrench into things depending on how the lap traffic reacts. They should go high, and I'd expect them to go high. There he goes. The number 64 is going to go way up the racetrack, up into the marbles, let the leaders by without much of a problem, and allow the 51, 6, and 24 to keep battling.
As we go to our blimp cam, except for it didn't work the way I thought it would. Now we're at our Hanson Starter Shop blimp cam. Get a good view from the top side of this track. Fuller, Schaefer, Marinak, just ahead of them is our next car to go a lap down. That is the 53 of Colin Phillip. Phillip stays to the high side here as Fuller and Schaefer get by. Marinak following suit. We got 16 laps to go now. Justin Fuller gonna try and bring this one home, but Joe Schaefer would like to try and pick up another win.
Yeah, I'd like to take just a moment to mention that tonight's race is brought to you in part by R&R Auto, a restoration and chassis shop in Morrisonville, New York. So if you are in the area and need a little bit of work done to your car, drop by R&R Auto and say the Upstate Racing League sent you.
Kelly, this track really full of marbles right now. A lot of rubber all over the place and a lot of grip being lost if you get up in there. Going on board with a few of these cars, you can hear all that rubber smacking the underside of it. What do you think it's going to take for that 6 to get around the 51 of Fuller?
I mean, first the 6 has to get to the rear bumper of that 51, as Justin Fuller is just able to race so consistently. He hasn't really made any mistakes tonight. We've been talking about drivers struggling for grip, but I'm just watching that 51 machine and he looks like he is on rails. I'm not seeing that back end step out from him at all. Every time in the corners, he's keeping it nice and tight down to the line. So Fuller is kind of in his zone, keeping his focus, and it is going to take a lot from Joe Schaefer to get around Justin Fuller. He has to get up to that rear bumper and kind of break the concentration of Justin Fuller.
I do want to take a moment to point out that our highest running rookie here tonight, that is the 25 of Trey Hudson. Right now he finds himself in 7th spot. Justin Rigsby, the next running rookie, he's in 14th spot. And then Matt Eddy is all the way down in 21st. Most of our rookies here at the tail end of this field. What does that say about how difficult this track is and how important experience is?
It really just goes to show how much experience that there is in the Upstate Racing League and how hard it is to kind of jump in with these guys. But all of these rookies are racing for the Rookie of the Year award at the end. But looking back up at the front, Justin Fuller, he's under 10 laps to go. He doesn't have far to go now to get this win, and Joe Schaefer is still not quite at that rear bumper.
Meanwhile, we do have a few other battles shaping up. Mike Alexander in the 75 has been able to make his way past Brian Hacker. That opened the door for the 39 of Bill Martin. Trey Hudson in the 25 somehow made a spectacular save going into turn number 1 as the accordion effect caught him out. And we stay green. What a save by Edson.
And that cost the 13 of Guillaume Fortin. He's going to end up dropping behind the 20 of Justin McDuff, as really the accordion effect caught him as well. He ended up tagging that 25. But yeah, just some great wheel work from Trey Hudson to hold on to this car even with worn out tires.
There's Justin Fuller in the 51. Gonna see 4 more times around to try and bring home a win here in the R&R Auto 125. This race here at Five Flag Speedway has been clipping very fast, going right along. And man, I gotta tell you, I am worn out just watching these guys, because they made it look easy, but this has been a lot of battles here and a lot of intense moments where everyone seems to find a way through.
Yeah, now there is kind of looking like a battle shaping up towards the front, as Steph Marinac has now caught up to Joe Schaefer. He's going to try to make a move before this race is over, but there's only 2 more laps to go. Fuller trying to get around some lap traffic that is not getting out of his way, and this might allow Schaefer to catch up a little, but Schaefer's a little busy trying to fend off that 24.
So Justin Fuller in the 51 going to get the white flag final time around here in the R&R Auto 125. As Fuller off of turn number 2. Good exit down the backstretch. Joe Schaefer not able to get to his back bumper, not able to even try a bump and run. And Justin Fuller gonna pick up the win here tonight in race number 4.
Yeah, it's some fantastic driving from Fuller. I mean, like I said, that car looked like it was on rails compared to everyone else that was fighting for grip. So some great driving, some very consistent driving as well, and some some good focus from that 51 to hold off on the pressure of the two drivers behind him and win this race.
As Fuller begins his celebration on the front stretch, trying to burn it down in that 51 machine. Fourth race of the season, fourth different winner so far to start this season off. All right, so we are going to step away for just a moment, set up our post-race show. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Eddie's Meat Market. Nobody beats Eddie's Meat. Hanson Starter Shop. Racing Designs. CEG Dealer School. Train, Play, Consult.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we kick off our post-race show, and we are going to talk to our race winner, and that is none other than the driver in the 51 machine of Justin Fuller. Man, congratulations on the race win. Nice job out there tonight.
Thanks, KR. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. Everybody kept me honest and kept me on my toes. What a way to turn the season around, though, that's for sure, after the last couple weeks.
Well, Justin, you become the fourth different winner in 4 different races. So far, not a repeat winner in this season. What can you tell us about the competition level that's out there with this Upstate Racing League?
I don't know exactly how many laps we went green there to the end. What did we restart on? We restarted on lap 50. So we went 75 laps green, and 20 cars still finished on the lead lap. So I think that right there is a testament to how the depth of this field is, just how close everybody is on top of each other, and how close the lap times are. If we were more spread out, there'd be a lot more cars a lap down, and there just wasn't. There was 3 cars that finished 1 lap down. Everybody else was due to a crash. So competition here is bar none one of the best you're going to find around.
All right, Justin. Well, a solid race win here tonight, putting you in victory lane, man. Any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to give for this race win?
Yeah. First off, I just want to say, other than getting the win tonight, it's really nice to actually get a legitimate win this year, because last year I got handed a win from somebody got disqualified. So I'm able to. I don't really consider last year having that win towards my streak, but it's nice to get a win this year to keep that streak alive. I've won a race in every season that I've been with Upstate, so I want to keep that going. We haven't won a championship since the 3rd season, but maybe we can change that this year. We're going to thank all the admins at Upstate Racing League and Al Smith for letting me race here and putting together this awesome league. This is really fun to do in the off season of the normal NASCAR stuff that I do. I want to thank Stefan and Joe there. They raced me clean. That was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I also want to thank my personal sponsors, Personal Comfort, Better Number Bed at a Better Price. If you're looking for a number bed, definitely check them out. I have one of their products here in my room, so I'll sleep real good in that tonight. Thank my teammate Trey Hudson. He was in there tonight for always doing an amazing job with paint schemes. And thanks everybody for watching. I know my dad watched, so a shout out to him. So yeah, I think we're all got Thanksgiving next week, so I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. And we'll see y'all back at I don't know what track it is, but we'll see you then.
All right, that is Justin Fuller, your race winner, man. And once again, congratulations. Solid run here tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, now it is time to move on to our second place finisher. And man, that is Joe Schaefer and Kelly Dahl. I believe you have caught up with the 6.
Yeah, caught up now with the driver of the number 6, our second place finisher tonight, Joe Schaefer Jr. Joe, you won last week, a second place this week. That's going to put you deep into the chase field. I mean, how are you feeling about your point standings just a few races into the season?
Well, I feel good knowing that the Iowa race is going to be a drop. The way the schedule was looking a couple weeks ago, I thought I was going to have to miss the bull ring because of the Packer game. I don't miss a football game, so I didn't have a very positive outlook on the points at that point. But the way it's looking now, it's things are looking up.
We saw a lot of drivers kind of struggling for grip out there tonight. I mean, how did the car feel to you?
The grip on exit was the problem. I felt like I did a pretty good job of taking care of my stuff the whole race. You just have such a benefit as the leader when it's hard to pass because you can check everybody up and really save your stuff. And I wasn't in a position to save because I wanted to be there. If Steph got under Justin, I wanted to take the spot. Because I know once you get the positioning on the bottom, it's pretty much a done deal. Even when I did get into second place there, my eyes just got big and I tried to go too hard too soon and stepped on it and got away from me.
Well, you finished sandwiched between 2 former champions. I mean, what was it like battling with those 2 guys throughout pretty much the entirety of this race?
That's a lot of fun. It's one of the main reasons why I keep coming back to run with Upstate on Thursday nights. Everybody races respectfully. These guys race like real people, not like some other, on the official side. People race like they just with no respect, and that's not something you got to worry about in this league. So last season, I struggled on these fast half miles, going in a little too hard. So I guess this was a good measuring stick for me, knowing I can run with those guys.
All right, Joe. Well, you were definitely able to run with them and battle with them, finishing second here tonight. And before he let you go, who do you wish to thank for this good run you had?
No, thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Drew Kryback with Epic Media, the Posse, and Ty Spearman for helping me out during the race today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, Joe. Hopefully we'll hear from you again next week.
I hope so too. Thanks, guys.
That's Joe Schaefer Jr., driver of the number 6 and our second place finisher here tonight. And I believe KR is going to catch up with our third place finisher.
I have caught up with our third place finisher, and that was the man who came into tonight as the points leader, Steph Marinak. You bring it home with another solid finish. Third place here tonight. Tell us a little bit about the race out there on this Five Flags Speedway.
We had a decent race. We got lucky there on a couple of the early restarts and got unlucky on the last one. We got caught on the outside. It was just so hard to pass. I think I had a winning car there with about 40 to go, but I just blew my tires out trying to get by Justin. And I tried to move him, but I blew that too. So I'm pretty happy with a third. Good points day. And yeah, it was just really hard to pass.
Well, Stefan, third place finish here, just tacking on more. You already got one win on the season, picked that one up at Iowa, and again here you are with another solid finish. Now, one of the questions we asked Justin Fuller was about the competition level of this league, and here you can see that it was a very intense battle at the front of the pack all night long.
Yeah, Justin's really tough. Joe's really tough. I thought my whole strategy was just keeping Joe behind me because I figured he had the best car. But yeah, it was tough. I mean, when everyone's that close on speed, you can't really do anything. So, but it was a good race. I enjoy racing with them.
All right, Stefan. Well, third place finish here means you get to give a huge shout outs and thank yous. Anyone in particular you got in mind?
Yeah, thank you to R&R Auto for sponsoring the race, and you guys for doing the broadcasts. Shout out to my teammates and Empire Racing team. I got to give a shout out to Mr. Awua, who's our fan out of Africa for Empire Racing team. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you for being a fan.
Oh man, all the way from Africa, you said?
Oh yeah.
All right, how about that? Empire Racing Team making a global impact. Nice job out there tonight, man. Stefan, once again, congratulations on third place.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, Kelly. Well, man, I'll tell you what, ain't nothing left but the results here as we get ready to run down our finishing order for this. If I can hit the right button. Gotta hit the right button. Justin Fuller, your race winner. Joe Schaefer bringing it home in second. Third place, Steph Marinac. We got to talk to all three of those. All of them just ecstatic to finish where they did. Mike Alexander finishing fourth. Rounding out your top five all the way from the LCQ. Well, it's the 39 of Bill Martin.
Brian Hacker going to come home in sixth. Trey Hudson able to hold on to a seventh place finish. Justin McDuff able to work his way up from 15th to finish 8th. Guillaume Fortin comes home 9th. And rounding out our top 10, I think is our second biggest mover other than Bill Martin, Matt Mclean from 21st to 10th.
Chris Stump finishing in 11th. Brett Bartels 12th. 13th going to Jimmy McIntyre. Justin Rigsby finishing in 14th spot. Al Smith going to end up in 15th spot.
Brian Rogers Jr. comes home 16th. 17th goes to AJ Rogers. 18th, we'll see Justin Smith. 7 of Jeremy Carpenter finishes in 19th. And Andy Lambert, our last car on the lead lap, in 20th.
Matt Eddy finishing in 21st. Colin Phillip, Andrew Plank, Gareth Goner, and Drew Krybeck all in following behind him. And then our final finisher of the night, that is the 26 of AJ Hamill with a very early exit. Very rough crash. In fact, he had probably what looked to be the worst incident of the night. Hopefully he can shake it off and get back out there, and we will see him in 2 weeks. Speaking of in 2 weeks, Kelly, we're heading to Southern National Motorsports Park for the Arts Barber Shop 150. That's going to be December 3rd. I hope to see you there. So, Kelly, before we sign off, any final thoughts about tonight?
Yeah, tonight was a very good race. Really got to show some of these guys their consistency. Is I really mentioned that throughout the night. I mean, that was kind of the story of the night, is just those top three drivers just running very consistent, very clean laps, especially Justin Fuller. While many of the other drivers were struggling for grip, he was able to keep everything neat and tidy and just had a fantastic run.
All right, folks. Well, that is going to do it for us here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. On behalf of myself and Kelly Dahl, we hope you all have a good Thanksgiving, as we'll be off next Thursday night. But make sure you tune in here December 3rd. So until then, guys, you'll stay safe, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Kabang Energy Candy contains 100% of vitamins B6, B12, and C, plus ginseng. And the best part is, no caffeine. Kabang Energy Candy is sold everywhere, including participating Walgreens. Kabang Energy Candy, it's bangalicious.